What's a good word, Judge? Your boy DKB here. So Saturday, the New York Jets did a workout with 5 linebackers, and it seems like we went ahead and signed 2 yesterday. Now, I don't have the contract details, and this is almost 11 o'clock at night my time, so we'll probably get them today by the time you guys are watching them. But these are depth pieces, right? No real splash crazy surprises here, and to be honest, this is more of a replacement for 2 of our linebackers that went down during the Hall of Fame game, Chad Surratt and Hamza Nasruddin. Surratt suffering a hamstring, Nasruddin suffering a neck injury, and we haven't had any more information about the severity of them, but it definitely seems like our next preseason game is already in jeopardy for both of these guys. So we'll see if we end up getting them on the PUP list or something like that. You know, with soft tissue injuries and neck injuries, you never really can be too cautious or overly cautious with those. So they could be season ending. We don't know. Hopefully we get some news, but I think seeing these new signings is at least an indication that it's probably somewhat of a major situation. So we'll have to keep tabs on that, especially with Chad Surratt as one of my underrated faves, heading into the Hall of Fame game, and seeing him being able to go in there and show out definitely helped reinforce that I thought he could be a sneaky good addition in his linebacker room. But nonetheless, let's get to our 2 new linebackers. So we've signed Nick Vigil, recently played with the Vikings, also with the Cardinals, and then Sam Eguavoen, probably way off, who knows, but he's recently played with the Dolphins. Now, with Nick Vigil, we're talking about a 6'2", 230-pound guy. He's turning 30 in a couple weeks. He had an interception return touchdown immediately upon him, essentially being able to go and come out into the league. Or more specifically, at least during his time with the Cardinals, I believe, he was a part of a tandem that helped go out there and replace Isaiah Simmons when he was working through being benched early on after seeming like he wasn't a great scheme fit for the new defensive coordinator and all these things. So it's at least worth mentioning that Nick Vigil has had a plethora of snaps. He started quite a few games, and he has the experience of playing inside and outside in the linebacker position. He's called plays. He's been a coaching favorite, and hanging around during that early time with the Cincinnati Bengals, I think definitely helped him. He's talked about Vince Burfict, or Vontaze Burfict, being one of his mentors during his earlier times that kind of helped really set the tone for him. So with a guy like this, we are looking at a pretty porous run defender, but he's an instinctual coverage player, can be a bit oblivious sometimes, but he definitely uses his instincts to mitigate some of what his agility doesn't allow him to do. But you still see a lot of him getting beat even when he has great angles. You still see him going out there and getting lost a little bit, but again, he's a veteran in the game, plenty of snaps. He's using his smarts to really kind of help round out some of his areas that the physical traits aren't going to try to help make up for anymore with him aging. So hamstring took him out for 2022. That's something that we definitely need to also be aware of. I did see an interesting pro comp for him earlier on in his career, which was actually a former New York Jet, Aaron Henderson. Even though he's played mostly inside linebacker, and we have the fact that he's helped call plays as a good nod in his cap, right? That obviously means that a coaching staff was comfortable with his ability to communicate what he's being able to go out there and see and decipher. And so I like that already within a guy like Nick, who, again, we're not expecting him to probably be anything more than, competition for maybe a 5th linebacker spot for us. One of the things I don't love, He's coming off a season where he's had an extremely high rate of missed tackles. I want to say the number was 25.7%. For his career, he's only missed 12.7%, but still something to be aware of. So I think this is definitely one of those value signings. I've had to take a look at one out of the 2 guys, just based on what he's been able to do in his career. So definitely good rounding out, but he's not our most experienced special teams player. That privilege goes to a guy like Sam, and I'm not even going to try to destroy the last name anymore, but he's 6'1", 236 pounds. Recently played with the Dolphins. He has a former CFL career being with the Rough Riders. He's also 30 years old. 10% missed tackle rate. So he's actually been pretty effective, although he's played, I want to say it's around 900 snaps. I think it was just under about 900 for his career. So we're not talking about a guy who has ample starting experience or anything of that nature. And you can still say he's adjusting to the game of football as well after coming over from the CFL ranks. But he has some exciting stuff to his game. He did have a severe knee injury back in 2016, which was an ACL tear. And then you're talking about a guy that also was converted from middle linebacker to outside linebacker. So two guys with versatility to be able to play both. Probably both best off as an outside linebacker, but you do love the fact that you've seen them be capable of being able to handle both duties. But really his calling card has been special teams and then some preseason highlights, right? Then I remember seeing his name before where he had 4 sacks and a safety in a preseason performance versus the Falcons back in 2021. It's pretty rare that you see a guy get 4 sacks, but he kind of did it all over the place. But he hasn't done much in the regular season. He was able to get a contract extension from the Dolphins at one point, though, which I want to say was 2021 for what it's worth. So they definitely liked what he was bringing. But I see him as being more of a pure special teams type of guy for a roster like this. Maybe you say he gets somewhere around 100 snaps or less for the season if they do need to actually get him out there on the field. And for what our purposes are, it's probably not the best fit, right? You're talking about a guy that's probably more of a pass rusher than a coverage player, by any stroke of the imagination. But for what it's worth, these are 2 pretty solid pickups for the beginning of preseason. We haven't seen many cuts around the league or anything like that. So I'm excited to see what they can do once we get them in the building, if we hear anything about them immediately from Robert Saleh and company. But keep your eyes out for these 2. We'll see what happens with the contract details, hopefully today. Other than that, though, let me know what your guys' thoughts are, and I'll catch you again. Peace.